There is a quiet financial mistake that does not feel like a mistake while you are making it. It feels normal. It feels responsible. Sometimes it even feels like progress. You earn a little more money, you get a little more confidence, and suddenly, the world begins offering you rewards. A newer car, a bigger house, a better phone, a vacation you can divide into monthly payments, clothes that make you look successful before your money has actually become successful. And this is where Warren Buffett's way of thinking becomes uncomfortable, because Buffett never built his life around what looked rich. He built it around what stayed rich. Looking rich is about the moment. Staying rich is about the decades. Looking rich says, I can buy this. Staying rich asks, what will this cost my future self? He does not just see the car payment. He sees the investment account that never got funded. He does not just see the larger house. He sees the taxes, insurance, furniture, maintenance, stress, and the loss of flexibility. So the warning is not really about being cheap. It is about refusing to trade your future freedom for things that lose their emotional power almost as soon as you own them. Today, I want to walk through 5 things Buffett's way of thinking would tell you to stop buying immediately, because these purchases quietly steal the one thing money is supposed to give you: options. The first thing to stop buying is a brand new car before your assets are strong enough to pay for it without paying. This is the purchase that ruins more ordinary wealth-building journeys than people want to admit, because it does not look reckless. It looks mature. You walk into a dealership, the lights are bright, the car smells perfect, and the salesperson talks in monthly payments instead of total cost. Suddenly, a $40,000 decision becomes one harmless sentence. It's only $600 a month. That phrase has destroyed more future millionaires than a bad stock pick ever could. Because the car is not just $600 a month. It is insurance, registration, maintenance, interest, the down payment that disappeared, the money that no longer compounds. And worst of all, it is a depreciating asset dressed up like an achievement. At 31, Daniel gets a promotion. His salary jumps from $68,000 to $84,000, and for the first time in years, he feels like he can breathe. He tells himself he deserves something, so he buys a new SUV for $48,000. The payment is manageable. The driveway looks better. His coworkers notice. Then the payment becomes normal. The car smell fades. The excitement disappears, but the obligation stays for 6 years. Now here is the Buffett question. What did Daniel really buy? He bought transportation, yes, but he also bought a delay. Every dollar you send to depreciation is a dollar that cannot become a worker for you. Money invested patiently is like a quiet employee. It does not ask for applause. It just keeps working in the background while you sleep, age, and build your life. But when that same dollar goes into a car that falls in value, that worker retires on day 1. The second thing to stop buying is a house you can afford only on paper. This one is dangerous because society will praise you for it. Nobody claps when you keep housing costs modest and quietly invest the difference. But when you buy the big house, people congratulate you. The bank tells you that you qualify. And that word, qualify, can be one of the most misleading words in personal finance. A house can be a wonderful asset, but an oversized house can become a velvet cage. It raises your fixed costs. It turns every career decision into a survival decision. It makes you stay with a toxic employer because the mortgage is waiting on the first of the month. Buffett has lived for decades in the same modest home he bought long ago, and whether you admire that choice or not, the lesson is powerful. Wealth is not measured by how much house you can display. It is measured by how much life your money lets you control. Sarah and Michael buy the biggest house the bank approves because they do not want to settle. The mortgage fits their income, but only if both paychecks keep arriving. The car does not break, no parent gets sick, and no child needs extra help. The Buffett way would say, buy the house that lets you sleep. Buy the house that leaves room for investments. Buy the house that protects your ability to say no. Because the real luxury is not granite countertops. It is not needing every paycheck to arrive perfectly just to keep your life standing upright. The third thing to stop buying is status clothing, luxury accessories, and brand name signals before you have real financial substance behind them. There is nothing wrong with a good suit, strong shoes, or a watch you truly love and can comfortably afford. The problem begins when you buy symbols of wealth before you build wealth itself. That is when spending becomes theater. You are no longer buying fabric, leather, or metal. You are buying the feeling of being seen differently. And that feeling is expensive because it expires quickly. You wear the expensive jacket once, people notice, and then it becomes part of the background. You buy the designer bag, and after the first wave of pride, you start needing another symbol. Status spending is like drinking salt water. The more you consume, the thirstier you become. A woman named Alicia gets her first serious job in finance. She wants to look the part, but then the office culture starts whispering. Someone has the expensive shoes. Someone has the luxury tote. Someone wears a watch that costs more than her emergency fund. Slowly, Alicia begins spending not to improve her life, but to reduce the anxiety of feeling behind. The line gets crossed when looking successful becomes more important than becoming secure. Buffett would ask a simple question. Are you buying utility, or are you buying applause? Most people you are trying to impress are too busy worrying about their own image to remember yours. You may be sacrificing years of investment growth for 30 seconds of someone else's attention. Build the foundation first. Own assets first. Create a margin of safety first. Then, if you still want the nice thing, buy it from strength instead of insecurity. When you buy from strength, the object serves you. When you buy from insecurity, you serve the object. The fourth thing to stop buying is convenience that quietly becomes a second rent payment. This trap does not arrive as one giant decision. It arrives as tiny permissions, delivery fees, premium subscriptions, apps you forgot about, streaming services you barely watch, food ordered because you are tired, ride shares because planning ahead felt annoying. None of these purchases alone will ruin you. That is exactly why they are dangerous. They hide beneath your attention. The average person does not wake up and decide to waste $500 a month. They wake up, feel tired, make one easy choice, repeat it, and then wonder why their income improved, but their account did not. Convenience is not bad. Sometimes it protects your time. Sometimes it helps you survive a busy season. But when convenience becomes automatic, it stops being a tool and becomes a tax on your lack of attention. Picture Marcus. He earns a decent salary, but every month he feels broke. He blames inflation, and to be fair, life is more expensive now. But when he finally looks through his statements, he sees the truth hiding in plain sight. Food delivery 4 times a week, 3 unused subscriptions, premium versions of apps he barely opens, random online purchases made after long workdays. Individually, every purchase had an excuse. Together, they were a system. He was not broke. Because of one dramatic mistake, he was bleeding through small doors. Buffett's style of wealth is built on attention. Not obsession, not misery, but attention. There is dignity in knowing where your money goes. There is power in giving your dollars a job. Because money without direction does not stay neutral. It gets captured by whichever company designed the smoothest button, the easiest checkout, and the most addictive notification. $500 a month invested consistently over decades can become serious freedom. The same $500 scattered across forgotten conveniences becomes a vague memory of meals you barely remember, shows you never finished, and packages you did not need. The fifth thing to stop buying is financial products and investments you do not understand just because everyone else seems excited. This may be the most Buffett-like warning of all. Buffett has never built his reputation by chasing what is fashionable. He built it by staying inside his circle of competence. That phrase sounds simple, but it is hard to practice when everyone around you is getting loud. There will always be a new opportunity, a new coin, a new app, a new trading strategy, a new private deal, a new fund, a new once-in-a-lifetime chance that somehow requires you to act before you have time to think. The faster someone pressures you to buy, the more slowly you should move. Real wealth rarely requires panic. Speculation feeds on it. Imagine Robert, a disciplined saver who spent years building $20,000. A friend tells him about a hot investment that is basically guaranteed. Robert does not understand the business model, the fees, the risk, or the exit plan, but he understands one thing clearly. He does not want to feel left behind, so he puts in the money. At first, the numbers on the screen rise, and he feels brilliant. Then the story changes. Withdrawals slow. Updates become vague. Confidence turns into hope, and hope turns into silence. The money was not lost because Robert was stupid. It was lost because he stepped outside his understanding and called it courage. Buffett would call it unnecessary. One of the greatest strengths in finance is the ability to say, I don't understand this, so I'll pass. That sentence sounds boring in a bull market, but it sounds genius after the crowd discovers what they actually bought. You do not need every opportunity. You need a few good ones that you understand, can afford, and can hold with patience. Complexity should never be mistaken for intelligence. Sometimes the smartest plan is the one you can explain to a teenager at a kitchen table. The deeper lesson behind all 5 purchases is that they trade future freedom for present emotion. The new car sells pride. The oversized house sells validation. The luxury signal sells belonging. The convenience habit sells relief. The investment you do not understand sells escape. None of these emotions are evil. They are human. You want to feel proud, safe, respected, relieved, and hopeful. But if you let every emotion become a transaction, your future becomes crowded with obligations you barely remember choosing. This is why Buffett's philosophy feels so different from the culture around us. The culture says wealth is having more things. Buffett's philosophy says wealth is needing fewer things to feel secure. The culture says success should be visible. Buffett's philosophy says the best parts of success are often invisible. No debt pressure, no panic when the car breaks, no fear when the boss becomes unreasonable, no need to impress strangers, no desperation when markets fall. Invisible wealth is not exciting on social media, but it is deeply exciting at 3 a.m. when you can sleep because your life has margin. There is a reason the first $100,000 is so hard for many people. It is not just math, it is identity. You have to become the kind of person who can let money stay unspent long enough to become powerful. That requires emotional maturity. It requires disappointing the part of you that wants a reward right now. It requires watching other people upgrade faster than you and not assuming they are winning. Because sometimes what looks like winning is just someone else signing a larger obligation. The world will always offer you ways to turn income into image. Wealth requires you to turn income into ownership. That is the shift. When you buy assets, your money remains connected to you. When you buy liabilities, your money walks away and often sends bills back. So what should you do instead? Create a pause before major purchases. Give yourself 24 hours for small things, 30 days for large things, and a written calculation for anything financed. Ask, what does this cost per year? Because monthly payments are designed to make large numbers feel small. Ask, what else could this money become? Because every purchase has a shadow future. Ask, would I still want this if nobody saw it? Because that question exposes status spending quickly. Ask, do I understand this investment well enough to explain the risk? Because confusion is expensive. And most importantly, ask, does this purchase increase my freedom or reduce it? That one question can change your life. A reliable, used car may increase your freedom. A huge new car payment may reduce it. A modest home may increase your freedom. A stretched mortgage may reduce it. A quality item you love and can pay for easily may increase your enjoyment. A luxury purchase made from insecurity may reduce your peace. Convenience used intentionally may protect your time. Convenience used unconsciously may drain your future. A simple investment plan understood deeply may increase your freedom. A complicated trend bought from fear may reduce it. This is not about deprivation. It is about alignment. Money should move you closer to the life you claim to want. If it is moving you further away, the purchase is too expensive, no matter what the price tag says. The people who become quietly wealthy are not always the highest earners. They are often the people who protect the gap between what they earn and what they spend. That gap is sacred. That gap is where your emergency fund is born. It is where your investments begin. It is where your confidence grows. It is where your ability to walk away appears. At first, the gap feels small and unimpressive, but over time, it becomes the engine of your independence. Every month you keep that gap alive, you are buying a piece of your future back. And this is where the Buffett lesson becomes peaceful. You do not need to win every argument with the culture. You do not need to prove anything at the dealership, at the office, at the restaurant, or online. You can simply choose differently. You can buy less image and more freedom, less urgency and more patience, less applause and more ownership. One day, the person with the newer car may still be making payments while your investments are quietly paying you. The person with the bigger house may be trapped by expenses while you have choices. The person with the designer lifestyle may be anxious behind the scenes while you are calm. And the person chasing every trend may still be searching for the shortcut while your boring plan keeps compounding. That is not luck. That is the reward for understanding what purchases really are. They are not just things. They are votes for the kind of future you are building. So before you buy the next thing that promises to make you feel rich, pause and ask whether it will actually help you become free. Because the goal is not to own the most impressive life from the outside. The goal is to wake up one day and realize your money has been quietly building a life that no longer needs permission, panic, or applause. And if you can stop buying the things that steal that future, even before you feel wealthy, you have already started thinking like someone who will be.